Hi folks, welcome to the video. This is Hardly Given, and today we're doing a little bit of Outriders. Now, I've been playing this game quite a lot, been quite enjoying it. However, I've had some issues. I did lose a character, and I've had pretty much all the bugs. But anyway, so this video is about my Pyromancer, the build I've got. It's quite similar to the other builds that are out there. However, there are some differences, which I just kind of wanted to share with you guys. So let's just get straight into it. First off, this is an end game build, so this is going to be using legendary sets and items. So don't worry at me if you haven't got stuff. I've farmed out another 10 legendary items today just by doing expeditions, so it's not too bad. So yeah, let's just jump into it, guys. So we are here in the inventory screen. Now, the first thing you'll probably see is my numbers. Right? So I've got pretty good firepower, very good anomaly power, a good chunk of health, and some really nice armor. And as you can see, I am using plenty of legendaries, although I would say some of them aren't absolutely necessary. Actually, no, I would say actually they are all necessary. So let's just start with the weapons first. So my first weapon here is the Infernal Seed, which is a kind of Pyromancer based weapon. It comes with the Wrath of Moloch mod. What that does is critical hits cause an explosion, dealing X amount of damage, whatever it is, dependent on your stats. And inflicting burn on enemies within a 5 meter radius. Now, it has got a 3-second cooldown, but it will set fire to everyone within 5 meters. Now, remember, headshots are criticals, so this is particularly effective against human or humanoid enemies. And the next mod I put onto that is the Fortress mod. That was a tricky one for me to get because I had to get Death Shield, which is the shotgun I'm going to show you in 2 seconds. That is from another legendary item as well. What that does is, as you can see, it's kind of broken. They will nerf it. They must nerf it at some point. But basically what it does is receive up to 43% extra damage, the bonus dependent on your armor. Now, you only need about 40 or 50,000 armor to cap that out. I reckon they'll change it so it's a more kind of punishing mod, so it'll be like 1% per 10,000 armor or something like that. I reckon it'll do something along those lines. But because the reason it's so strong is it's 43% extra damage, all damage. So your weapon damage and your skill damage and your status damage, all of it gets buffed. So yeah, it's a bit strong. But that's what I've chosen as my assault rifle. I like the assault rifle, I like the tactical version. It kind of teams with my playstyle. I don't burn through ammo and I can get those headshots. My secondary weapon here is the Death Shield. I got 2 of these killing Moloch in the expeditions, so that could potentially be where his which is more likely to drop. I don't like shotguns themselves. This comes with a fortress. As I said, I had 2, so I broke one down and got the mod. But I put another backup here just to have it as a backup, and then I've rolled onto yet another legendary mod that I only just got about half an hour ago. Moaning Wind. So when you reload, it creates a strong blast around you, dealing a bunch of damage to enemies in a range of 8 meters. It has got an 8-second cooldown. However, this is 8 seconds per weapon. So I actually also have it on my sidearm as well. So on my sidearm, I've got Moaning Winds and Resistance Breaker, which is quite a nice thing. If I particularly felt like I needed to, I could pull this out, shoot the boss, and get 6 seconds of them having 35% less resistance to me. I've not really had a need to do it yet, but it's there if I need it. But ultimately, a sidearm isn't really much of an issue. Going into items here, I do have a 3-piece Akari set. So I've got the helmet here. This comes with the Fire Tsunami mod, which increases the width of the firewall. Now, this is great because using this build, you're going to be having 3 heat waves, which means that you can effectively set an entire room on fire. I've also then rolled onto that the Burnt Out mod, which is damaged enemies take 25% more damage for 8 seconds. That is multiplicative. So if I cast 1 heat wave, they get 25%. If I cast 2, they get 50%. If I cast 3, they get 75% extra damage. So this is good on bosses, and it's also great on mobs. In fact, most of the low level mobs will die just in the burn that you inflict with your heat waves if you throw this on them. Moving on to the chest piece here, we are using, again, it comes, actually I rolled off what it came with. I didn't like it. I believe it had a reduction, a cooldown reduction on heatwave. No, not heatwave, sorry. I can't remember the name of the skill. Overheat. And I didn't really see the point in that just because Overheat has a really short cooldown anyway. So I actually rolled onto it, both Rider Wave and Tidal Wave, so that's 2 extra casts I have of Heat Wave on my chest piece there. Onto the legs here, I've got my last piece of the Akari. Comes with the Anomaly Echo, which is a fantastic mod. Kind of bugged. It's one of the bugs mods right now. It does stack. I don't know how far, but it does. But basically, every time you activate a skill, you get a huge chunk of extra both firepower and anomaly power, which is always really, really nice. And then I've rolled onto that Pompey, which is a fantastic mod. Basically, Eruption gets an extra ability, effectively doubling its DPS. Great for taking down single targets. And then moving on to the gloves, I have a set of gloves here with Anomaly Power, Status Power, and Cooldown. I'd like to have Skill Leech, but I just haven't found a good set yet. And that came with Damage Absorber, which is a fantastic defensive mod. As you can see there, increases my armor by, effectively doubles my armor. And then Resistance by 10%. It's a little bit, not much. And then I've rolled onto that Giga Blast, which is an option skill again, which increases the skill radius by 100%. Again, just adding more DPS. You hit more than one enemy with this now. In fact, you'll hit quite a few enemies, especially if you play it properly. So you run around, grab them to a mob, and then just hit this down, and they're done. And my boots we've got here is another epic gear. We've got Anomaly Power, Cooldown, and Skills Leech. That came with Emergency Stance, which is another really, really nice defensive mod. Golem Protection, effect for 4 seconds. I believe it's about a 60 or 70% damage reduction, which is fantastic. If your health drops below 30%, again, I think that might be bugged right now. I think that's one of the bugged mods, so it kind of stays with you, the effect afterwards, after it leaves. So yeah, I think that might be a little bit bugged. And I've rolled onto that Overheat, which is an additional X amount of anomaly power per status consumed by the skill for 8 seconds. Stacks up to 10 times. So that's me effectively getting 64,000 anomaly as long as I consume 10 status effects, which is not difficult to do. That tied in with the Fire Tsunami and Rider Wave and all that, it means that my anomaly power goes ridiculous levels because it's just constantly going up. So that is the gear there, guys. We are looking at the skills. I'm using Heatwave here. I'm using Overheat and Eruption. If you look as well, I've got really, really low cooldowns. This is really nice. I've got 8 seconds for this, just 9 seconds for that, and 19 for Eruption. So it just basically means that you can continuously keep casting your spells as you move from area to area without having to have any cooldown. So yeah, try and work as much on cooldown as possible. And the actual abilities here we've got. So what I've done is I've gone down, grabbing this anomaly power. The reduced cooldowns is really nice. Again, a more anomaly power. And then I've actually got up to have more cooldown. And then I've came up here. So I've got 10% extra health, 20% extra armor, 10% extra health. So really, really nice chunk of extra defensive there. And then I've gone up here to grab this one point here. Incinerate. The moment burn ends on an enemy, inflict ash status. This is great for crowd control, because half the enemies are on fire and half the enemies are now ash. They can't move. And this is really, really good, especially against bosses, because even bosses will be ashed for about a couple of seconds, which is all you need to kind of burst them down. So I would highly recommend working up to get that. And then I've come down and grabbed the Extinction. So it increases damage by 20% against enemies below 30% health. Again, fantastic for the elites and the bosses. Just to kind of burst down that last little chunk of damage. And then I've kind of continued my line down to the Tempest, working away to gets as much damage as possible. Some people will do this one. I'd rather have this, because that's a straight up 5% extra increase to weapon damage and anomaly power, whereas that's just affecting burn damage. So I prefer to go that, but it's kind of play about if it's what you like. And then you're going to grab this one here with Fire and Anomaly. Activating explosive skills increases your anomaly power by 12% for 10 seconds. That's going to be up at all times. You saw my cooldowns there. My cooldowns are less than 10 seconds on, what's the name of the game? Overheat. So as long as I keep casting that, my anomaly power is constantly staying at extra 12%. And I finished in here to get a bit of extra skill leech. Up into Flame That Burn Twice, and then down, and then up into Grave Ablaze. I chose not to put a point into here because you only get 8%. If you look at these ones here, they get 15%. That gets 15%. and that gets 8% only against marked targets. I don't know why they did that, but yeah, so I didn't use that one. So I'm really quite chuffed with this. Usually in expeditions now, I'm top damage by quite a significant margin. Just had a run there where I finished with 330 million damage, so yeah, it's pretty good. Just looking at the kind of stats you're looking at here, 2,900% extra skill damage. I used to be stacking into status, but apparently status is a bit of a dead skill right now. Apparently it doesn't really work all that well. So just try and because ultimately the anomaly power will affect all damage you do, including your status. So just try and stack as much into status as possible, and then I don't think you can get more than this because everything I believe everything I've got has cooldown on it. Yeah, so I think. Oh no, I can do something with the head. So maybe, I mean, what would that be then? 40. Oh, but 47.49% would be the maximum cooldown you can get. So I'm not far off. But nice resistance here, piercing, which is nice. Huge amount of damage reduction. The thing is, though, the enemies are kind of weird. Even the small enemies, if they hit me, can actually almost one hit me. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. And then a really nice chunk of skill life leech. Because I mean, the amount of damage I'm throwing out, as long as I'm relatively careful about positioning, it's very difficult to kill me. So that's it, guys. That is the build. That's the gear you're looking at there. These are the free skills. We'll just go have a wee look at the kind of tree again. Some people focus entirely on this, but I just needed a little bit of health because I'm quite an aggressive player. And I find, especially for when you're running solo, it's nice just to get an extra 20% health, 20% armor, and also, as I said, Incinerate is actually really effective. I'd highly recommend it. Anyway, guys, that is the build, and yeah, it's good fun. I really enjoy playing it. I'm going to be probably moving on to a new character. I did, as I said, I had one character. I had a Pyromancer, which I lost. She was level 30. I was working towards level 45 gear, I think, and then we lost her. Which is a shame, but I think I might go try a Tempest out, and then once I've kind of played the Tempest and got him up to a good level, I'll make a wee build video about that as well. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.